Honestly, today I'm here just to talk and get some things off my chest. I've been intentional with dating for like 6 to 7 months, and I must say it sucks. For me, it's more so the communication and the lack of clarity in most instances. I just think I find myself in a place where I've done a lot of personal healing. I work on myself at a consistent rate, and I do all the things to make sure that one, my journey is coming first and foremost. And that's something I didn't do in the past. I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would always put whatever I had going for myself on hold for these women. But as I healed and as I went on with my life, I realized that it's not about putting all your energy into a relationship when that opportunity comes. It's about bringing a better version of yourself and meeting someone on their own personal journey halfway and coming together and building and growing together. And that's something I've always been working on these last couple of years, is just making sure that I bring my best self into any situation that comes along. Having to often just reset my mind and reset the journey as far as consistent growth goes, because I just don't know what to do in situations when it comes to lack of communication or not understanding the other person's side. I don't take, and this might be a place where I need to grow more, but I don't receive not understanding people well. And that's just really where I want to be. I just want to understand where your thought process is. I want to understand why you feel this certain way. I want to understand, why things went the way they went, versus kind of just being on the cold end of it, not receiving proper feedback, not understanding when things started shifting for you, and ultimately, kind of getting left without closure or proper closure because I just don't understand what happened. I'm a person that's like, look, you got something to say to me, like say it in person, say it directly to me, whatever it is. I much rather you tell me what a situation is or what you're going through straight up, because I personally will receive that. I'm not going to say I'll receive it in a perfect way, but I know I can heal from it in a way that allows me to keep growing, allows us to keep growing, going through uncomfortable things at the same time, whether it's together or just adjacent for each other, but being able to grow and heal and adapt together, and ultimately, we don't have to be in a place of, I still want you in my life. I still want to be, we don't have to be in each other's lives. I just think it's very important as people to move in a way of understanding each other for the greater good. I just think that can trickle down and really transform people in a great light, and give us the opportunity to pass it on, pay it forward as we go. There is a component of back and forth just missing in today's landscape of dating, and I'm not too sure what the results are or what the solutions are or what people are going through. And mind you, these are all from my experiences. So, I can be a person who says, yo, talk to me, it's gonna be healthy, but they could have easily experienced something where talking to someone or trying to be open just ended in a bad result. And, I'll take responsibility for how I feel on that. And I need to take responsibility for also how other people feel. Not to say I take responsibility for their actions or how they deal with things, but I take responsibility of understanding that not everything revolves around me and my emotions. Not everything revolves around me always having to have answers and understanding, right? People are on the other end of these relationships, and as hard as it is, I do have to find myself getting out of my own way and understanding that what they have going on has nothing to do with me, and how they handle certain situations isn't where I need to necessarily be as far as my mindset goes. But it's still a bitch. It's still not easy. It's still annoying. The biggest thing I've learned so far is just perseverance. I'm a stubborn guy. I'm a stubborn guy, and I really don't enjoy following rules or following the status quo. So I try to stay stubborn in dating. I stay stubborn in, not giving up on these things and, just persevering. And I've gotten better with how I handle these situations like tenfold for sure, and that's something that I think at least you take away when you are intentionally dating and really trying to find, your person is understanding that it's not probably supposed to be easy, finding the love of your life. It's a long game. You really have to put things in perspective, right? And certain situations that are happening are such a fragment of time and a lifespan. So, as tough it is as it is, it really is sometimes just a speck in the timeline. I can learn from this experience. I can keep going forward. I can make sure I treat myself right. I treat myself to the healthy habits that I've accumulated over the years. And, don't be afraid to invite people in, find people that you can trust, find people that you can talk to, and invite them into your life and what you're going through. It's not necessarily going to be a place where you're able to always share or always be open with, but there are avenues where you can be healthy with your thoughts. You only get to true growth and true, realization by putting yourself out there. You can't be in a place where I'm too scared of what will happen, so I'm just going to stay in my cave and stay in my emotions and not put myself or push myself to a new level. The only way you truly heal in a journey and the only way you truly find who you are in any circumstance or any situation is by putting yourself out there. So you have two choices when it comes to finding out the person you want to be. You can stay hidden and scared and stay in your situation where you're not ultimately pushing yourself and you're comfortable, it's nice and cozy, I'm safe. Or you can put yourself out there, live with the consequences, live with the learning experiences and heal from it. Real healing will not happen by you staying stagnant and you staying in your one place. It only happens when you go through adversity and try to push through it accordingly. Dating sucks, but dating doesn't suck at the same time. And I think that's very important to acknowledge. But as I go through certain situations or as my mind is racing, I tend to find a creative outlet, and that's either with me speaking into a microphone or speaking into a camera and sharing my experiences with people and putting it out there. It feels very rejuvenating. It feels very healing. The word I'm looking for. Either way, it feels good for me to put something into a medium and then, shoot it out there, and hopefully I'm able to connect with some people, or, at the end of the day, just know I did my part on how to release a certain aspect that I was going through. I go through a lot of thoughts in my head, and being creative has been a great outlet for me. And I definitely want to be in a place where I continue that at a high frequency. I don't know how often I want to create in this medium, and then, and we'll see. But I think creating content like this will hopefully help people at the end of the day. I just don't want to find myself. I'm just not a content creator. I just want to be free flowing. I don't want to do all the bells and whistles at this time. I think it's really just important for me to do what I can and build a baseline from there. But outside of that, man, I'm Francis Mfamadu, and this has been my thoughts on dating so far. And dating sucks, but dating doesn't suck at the same time. Y'all be beautiful out there. Y'all be blessed. If you do have any recommendations, any thoughts, or anything that I can do to help my experience or help your experience, in dating or in life in general, please feel free to leave a comment. And y'all be good out there. Peace out.